Hey there, curious minds, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're unearthing some really profound, timeless wisdom, stuff that can genuinely change your trajectory. We're diving deep into the powerful principles of the legendary Jim Rohn. Specifically, we're looking at how his insights can help you become, well, pretty much unstoppable in life and business. Now, just to be clear, Jim Rohn didn't actually leave us, a list called Six Methods to be Unstoppable, but his teachings, they're absolutely packed with these powerful themes that we've sort of organized into six core strategies.
Exactly. And our mission for you today really is simple. Think of this deep dive as your shortcut to understanding how Ron's insights offer really practical, actionable knowledge. We want to help you gain that knowledge quickly, thoughtfully, and, well, ultimately improve your life by applying these key ideas. And for those of you already familiar with Ron, we're hoping to push beyond just the surface level here, really get into the how and the why behind it all.
Okay, let's jump right in then. First, cornerstone principle for becoming unstoppable. Ron put it this way, and it's a quote that really hits hard. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. Now, I think a lot of us here work on yourself and maybe instinctively think, okay, job skills, maybe a side hustle. But his message feels, I don't know, profoundly different somehow, almost counterintuitive. What's the real foundational idea he wants us to grasp here?
Yeah, that's a great point. What's truly fascinating is that Ron isn't just talking about, climbing the career ladder. He's really highlighting the absolute necessity of focusing on personal growth. Why? Because it creates this compounding personal leverage. Think about reading, for instance. Not just reading for facts, but reading to actually disrupt your old ways of thinking. Or journaling, not like a diary, but more like a daily systems check on your internal software, where you spot cognitive biases or maybe limiting beliefs that are kind of silently holding you back. The real fortune he talks about, it isn't just about better external skills. It's about constantly refining your inner game so external challenges almost feel, well, less challenging. It's like upgrading your operating system, not just the apps you run on it.
That distinction is huge. Disrupting old patterns, auditing your inner software. Yeah, that's a game changer. It makes total sense. Okay, building on that internal work, the second core principle is all about setting clear, written goals. Ron famously said. Goals, there's no telling what you can do when you get inspired by them. There's no telling what you can do when you believe in them. So here's where it gets really interesting for me. We all know we should set goals, right? But why the specific, almost like ritualistic emphasis on making them written and clear? What's the deeper thing happening there?
Well, the clarity piece and the actual physical act of writing them down, it forces you to be really specific, intentional about exactly what you want. It's not just some vague idea floating around anymore. It becomes a tangible commitment. And actually, it activates different parts of your brain. Psychologically speaking, it transforms an abstract wish into like a concrete instruction set for your subconscious mind. And to make it actionable, Rohn really emphasized breaking those big goals down into daily action steps, turning these huge aspirations into manageable micro tasks. And it's definitely not a set it and forget it thing. You need to review them, visualize them often, not just as a reminder, but to actively, reinforce those neural pathways. Which I guess raises an important question for you listening. How intentional are you really in charting your course? Or are you still kind of letting the currents pull you along even though you know you need a map?
That's a powerful question indeed. And reinforcing neural pathways, wow, that definitely elevates it beyond just a to-do list. All right, moving to number 3. Ron talks about something even more fundamental, cultivating a strong philosophy. He believed your personal philosophy is the major determining factor in how your life works out. Okay, let's unpack this one. For someone listening who feels maybe stuck, maybe their current philosophy isn't serving them, what's the very first step? How do you actively, deliberately start changing that core belief system?
Right. Cultivating a strong philosophy isn't passive at all. It's about actively shaping your worldview. It means reading widely, different perspectives, intentionally learning from mentors, and really rigorously forming your own core beliefs about success, discipline, responsibility, all the big stuff. For someone feeling stuck, often the first step is just identifying the existing philosophy, which might be subconscious, right? What are your default assumptions about money or effort or what's possible for you? Once you can actually see those, then you can begin the deliberate work of questioning them, maybe replacing them. Your philosophy, you see, It's like the engine driving your behavior, your choices, your results. It acts as this crucial filter for all the information coming at us constantly, helps you sort out what actually matters. So yeah, it needs regular upgrades, like updating your internal compass to make sure it's pointing you where you truly want to go.
That's deep. The internal compass or filter idea, that's incredibly insightful. Okay, now for one that, let's be honest, many find challenging, but it's absolutely essential. Mastering the art of discipline. Ron gave us this gem. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. What's fascinating here is how often discipline gets misunderstood. It sounds like, harsh self-denial or just white-knuckling it. If Ron suggests mastering it, what are the perhaps subtle distinctions, maybe psychological tricks involved that go beyond just doing stuff you don't feel like?
Yeah, mastering discipline isn't about forcing yourself through misery. That's not sustainable. It really means consistently doing what needs doing, yes, even when you don't feel like it. But by strategically designing your environment and your daily micro routines, you want to make the right choices the easiest choices. So for example, instead of the vague thought I need to exercise, it becomes something concrete like my running shoes are right by the door and my first task after coffee is a 15-minute walk. See, it's about removing that mental friction. So the action feels less like a struggle, more like the default path. And a really crucial insight here, consistency totally beats intensity for long-term success. Those small, consistent actions, they're way more powerful cumulatively than just sporadic bursts of huge effort because they build those neurological pathways for habit, making success almost, well, automatic over time.
So true. Consistency is king. And making the default choice the right choice, that's brilliant. Makes so much sense. Okay, principle number 5. This one highlights a powerful external factor, who we surround ourselves with. Ron's famous line here, everyone knows it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So what does this actually mean for deliberately curating our environment, especially when networking can sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, superficial? How do we find and genuinely engage with these winners in a meaningful way?
It means you absolutely have to be deliberate about your associations, proactive even. It's about actively seeking out people who genuinely inspire you, people who challenge your thinking, people who are visibly heading in a direction you admire. And yeah, it's not just about LinkedIn connections. It could be finding mastermind groups or specific online communities with that growth mindset, finding mentors. And just as important is the flip side, having the wisdom and sometimes the courage to maybe cut off or at least significantly reduce time with people who are consistently negative or complain all the time or just seem aimless. Their energy can subtly drain yours. There's such a valuable learning opportunity in observing others' successes and failures. It's all data. It's really about creating a sort of thought ecosystem around you that nurtures your growth.
A thought ecosystem. I love that framing. Really captures it. Okay, that brings us to our 6th and final core principle, learning how to handle challenges and setbacks. Because they will happen. Obstacles are inevitable, right? But Ron's perspective was incredibly resilient. He said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. This raises a really important question, I think. For someone who maybe feels failure like a gut punch, how do we genuinely shift our mindset? How do we start seeing it not as defeat, but as actual fuel?
It comes down to building mental resilience, which isn't just about bouncing back. It's about the capacity to pivot, to grow stronger because things went wrong. Instead of letting setbacks just derail you completely, Rohn urged us to view failure as feedback. Simply feedback, not defeat. Think of it like data points in an ongoing experiment, not some final judgment on you or your abilities. Every obstacle, every single misstep, every challenge, it becomes fuel. Fuel to learn, to adapt, maybe innovate. Rather than just an excuse to quit, it's about transforming that adversity into an advantage. And you do that by actively asking, okay, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this information to improve my strategy next time? That kind of proactive questioning, that's key to really internalizing this.
Makes sense. Okay, and as a kind of bonus, there's this overarching principle that really weaves through all of Jim Rohn's teachings. And honestly, it feels like the ultimate accelerant for becoming unstoppable. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make a fortune. So why is continuous self-education so vital? And how does it specifically accelerate the journey, maybe beyond just being foundational?
Because fundamentally, being unstoppable isn't about brute force. It's not just about having a fancy degree either. It's really about deliberate growth, right? Cultivating that inner discipline we talked about, having crystal clear direction. And all of these things are consistently fueled and refueled by a commitment to perpetual learning. Lifelong learning. Self-education accelerates the journey because it gives you adaptability, it gives you foresight, the ability to pivot quickly when the world changes. It's not just about cramming facts in your head, it's about developing a true learning mindset. That mindset allows you to constantly reevaluate and optimize yourself, your beliefs, your whole approach to life. It's basically the ultimate upgrade button for yourself, yeah, allowing you to stay ahead of the curve in this constantly shifting world.
Wow. And there you have it. Jim Rohn's principles, they seem so profoundly simple on the surface, but they're incredibly powerful when you dig in. It's all about that intentional growth, self-mastery, curating your influences, seeing challenges as opportunities. It really is a roadmap to creating that compounding personal leverage you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. And as you reflect on these principles, thinking about creating that leverage in your own life, here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Considering all these ideas, what is one small, consistent action, maybe something you've dismissed before as too minor? What's one small thing you can actually implement this week? Something to deliberately grow and move just that little bit closer to becoming unstoppable.